Yung optimism and positivism, parang iisa siya, no?
Yes.
People see it as, pag ginugol mo, optimism means positivism, no? Or being positive. But it's not now in the 21st century arena, wherein these two are really different. Yung positivity is a blind spot, no? Na parang, pag positive ka, ay, basta nag-mindset ka lang daw, magandang magiging bukas nang wala ka namang ginagawa at hindi mo rin nakikita yung barriers ng current, no? So, like what's happening during the pandemic.
Hey, this is KJ, and welcome to the latest episode of Pera and Purpose Podcast, a show about money and meaning. My aim is for you to use money as a tool to live a meaningful life. Guys, alam niyo ba na mastering money means mastering our behavior? Kaya kahit negative ang ating budget, dapat positive pa rin tayo sa buhay. Huwag lang sa COVID, of course. And there are tons of studies claiming that optimism is good for a person's financial health. The positive perspective is associated with healthier financial habits and therefore better financial results. Pero, how do we really define optimism? Is it a result of being financially sound or is it the other way around? Mas positive nga ba talaga sa buhay ang mga taong may pera? And how do we remain optimistic in times of crisis? These are just some of the questions I have regarding optimism. Kaya sa episode na to, nagbabalik ang aking only go-to person sa subject ng human psychology and emotional intelligence. Dahil he is a professor at Abu Dhabi School of Management, he has a PhD sa psychology and also in human resource management, a Dakilang Bayani awardee, a community leader and certified organizational and educational psychologist, a co-founder of Psychological Society of the Philippines UAE chapter, and also the co-founder of Southville Ras Al Khaimah, the first Filipino higher education institution in the UAE. So, to talk more about the financial rewards of optimism, let us welcome back Dr. Rommel Pilapil Sergio. Woohoo! Doki, maraming salamat. Welcome back.
Ay, salamat po. It's always an honor, Kuya Jay. Makikikuya na ako kasi they normally would tell you that. Figurative naman yan kasi parang icon ka na rin when it comes to your advocacy. Yung chosen area of advocacy mo. Napaka-relevant yan in today's world.
Nakaka-flatter yung icon pero ako malayo pa. Ikaw talagang icon kayo yung mga malulupit na doctors dito sa ating dito sa UAE.
Salamat po. We're always here to help anytime.
Thank you talaga, Doki. Pero bagong lahat, no, kamusta muna ang iyong sinusuportahan na Gent Salon dyan? Nakita ko sa Facebook mo eh.
Ay, oo. Hindi kasi yung Gent Salon na yon, just to parang have a very good kickstart on that note. They have been providing support for my scholarship program din, no. These are YouTubers na gaya mo, may mga vlogs din sila, may mga mga online activities sila. And they have chosen my scholarship program in the Philippines to have it's their own contribution. So 20% of their income goes to my foundation. So napakalaki. Yun na yung hindi alam ng karamihan ng mga tao sa area. So maganda rin. Positivism, optimism comes into play, no?
Yes. And anong pangalan ng Gent Salon na yun? Shoutout natin sila para at least
yun, Doyen's Gent Salon.
Doyen's
Gent Salon. Yes.
Shout out sa inyo dyan and thank you for supporting the advocacy of Doc Rommel. Ayan.
Yep. Naku, matutuwa yung mga yun. Sige
diba? So, okay, Doc Rommel, ito na talaga. Itong mga topics na gustong-gusto ko pag-usapan pag ikaw yung nandyan eh. So,
salamat po.
Ano ba talaga, Doc? And pero bago pala gusto ko mag-start with the question why. Why should people choose to be an optimist?
Ayan. So, siguro, Jay, in a nutshell, magandang ma-emphasize natin yung optimism is mental attitude. It's definitely characterized by hope and confidence in success and a positive future. So, it's more on an outlook, Jay, sa mga kababayan natin na nakikinig sa'yo consistently. sa advocacy mo. So yung mga optimists, they are definitely expecting that good things will happen in the near future. No? They look forward to a brighter future. Walang masama dyan. May mga downsides din yan na pag-uusapan natin mamaya. Ang ganda kasi ng mga binanggit mo sa introduction mo kanina, no? Na I know you will have a breakdown of those questions later. Pero yung optimistic attitude na yon are linked to a number of benefits, no? Including better coping skills. So binanggit mo na kanina, Jay, na nasa gitna tayo ng laban na hindi natin inaasahan. This is the pandemic in itself. And you would probably see, other than the benefit in that coping skill that I was mentioning, yung having lower stress level. So mas malayo tayo sa depression pag optimist tayo. We have better physical health. So yung exercise, pag-uusapan din natin mamaya, part pala siya noon, no? Hindi lang siya about mental attitude, but mental and physical attitude as well. And higher persistence when it comes to pursuing goals. Yan yung nutshell nung first question mo na what optimism is about. Yung iba, it's really a choice, no, to become an optimist. Unfortunately, Jay, meron tayong tinatawag na primitive brain na activated ito na most of us, according to research, have the tendency to become negative rather than positive. Kasi automatic negative response to unexpected circumstance. So pag nauna na yung fear sa atin, the psychology of fear is activated, hindi mo kasi naiintindihan what it is. So sa unahan ng pandemic, we were all negative. It's a natural response pala, no? So meron tayong native part of the brain na yan, which is the combination of the frontal lobe, ito yan, tsaka yung part ng parietal lobe natin, just parang dito sa section na to, na na-activated agad siya. Pero when it comes, some people who are very much skilled and they have the trait at the same time, magkaibang aspeto to na pwede siguro natin pag-usapan later. Mahaba yung dichotomy. Kumbaga kung hihimay-himayin natin, ang dami natin makikita, Jay, na mga factors doon as an introduction to optimism. So very complex yung second set of question mo na why should people choose to be an optimist? It's a choice at times, but for those who do not master it or do not have the trait, kasi namamana, Jay, yung optimism and so negativism. Kung both of your parents happen to be very negative about life and about things, expect that person is very negative. So it's more of a trait rather than a skill. Yung skill na tututunan, yung trait na mamana.
Mamana, yes.
So psychology, we have that kind of dichotomy, which is the, kumbaga, kung susuriin mo, yung dichotomy ng optimism and negativism, doon mo makikita yan na may biological foundation din siya. And at the same time, socially, di naman natin pwedeng sabihin na it's static yung trait mo because that can also be, you can also be trained to have it. So it's a choice for those who are already trained. Yun ang conclusion ko dyan. And it's also parang you don't have any choice kung hindi mo siya na-master throughout time and it becomes a trait that you have embraced that trait and you're not aware. So, mas negative ka than optimist. Yan.
Okay. Kasi iniisip ko nga yun dati, Dok. Parang lumaki ako sa isang lugar na feeling ko gloomy yung kapaligiran. Parang puro negativity yung na-feel ko na tawag dito? Na environment or ambience. So, inisip ko nga nun, is it napamana through genes and paano pa ba?
Pero it's also environmental other than biological.
And so the good thing here, that's the good news na pwede talaga siyang baguhin and it is a choice. It is not something na innate na talaga sa atin and we can do something about it. Kasi nga some of the people that we've spoken to, sinasabi sa akin, wala, ganito na ako eh. Hindi kasi ako kasing positive mo, Jay, sa buhay. Kasi ganito ako lumaki eh.
Jay, maganda yung sinishare mo ngayon, no? We call that learned helplessness. Kung parang feeling nila na, ito na ako, Jay, ikaw yan eh. Hindi ko na mababago yung sarili ko. Learned helplessness yan eh. You're embracing what you already have, which to some extent is negative. Yeah.
Okay. And
Jay, sorry, lastly, before you proceed with your next entry, gusto ko lang emphasize yung binanggit ni Simon Sinek on the aspect of optimism, na kung bakit siya mas kinakailangang i-emphasize more than positivism, no? It's because of the fact that we embrace the positive outlook there is, yung pagiging positibo sa hinaharap. But at the same time, we don't neglect the real score, what's happening in the current state. No, so yun yung magandang sinabi ni Simon na optimism is the underlying belief that the future is bright, true, but it is not a denial of the current state, which is happening when you just become positive, no? Kasi nung 1950s up to 1990s, yung optimism and positivism parang iisa siya, no?
Yes.
People see it as, pag ginugol mo, optimism means positivism, no? Or being positive. But it's not now in the 21st century arena, wherein these two are really different. Yung positivity is a blind spot, no? Na parang pag positive ka, ay basta nag-mindset ka lang daw, magandang magiging bukas nang wala ka namang ginagawa at hindi mo rin nakikita yung barriers ng current, no? So like what's happening during the pandemic. So you keep on hoping for the best, maganda yon, pero you're not doing what's best for the current state. So hindi ka talaga uusad, no? Mapo-frustrate ka sa bandang dulo. So yun yung kaibahan ng dalawang aspect na yun ngayon.
Ang galing na touch mo yung optimism and positivism kasi nga 'di ba lagi sinasabi ng mga tao, think positive lang, maayos din 'yan, 'di ba? And ang karugtong nga lagi niyan is itong toxic positivity kasi I've also read about studies about anong tawag dito, positive psychology naman. And I think is it same din nung positivism or nasa optimism side siya? Kasi
Yeah.
mm-mm.
So yung kay Seligman is a psychologist. Seligman is a psychologist. More on optimism talaga yung kanya, no? Sa
Okay.
psychology, meron tayo no more on humanistic psychology from which positivity is embedded. So talaga nagkakaroon siya ng pagkakapareho kung yung historical background nilang pagbabatayan mo. Pero yon, kung yung ngayong state ang pag-uusapan, I would say that yung mga current na psychologists natin would debunk the idea na, oh no, it's not positive psychology. It should have been optimism, no, as a term. Pero again, it depende kung sino nagsasabi niyan. We have different perspectives. Parang teorya lang yan na maraming, di ba, no, maraming opposing sides. Yeah. But
meron
at the end of the day, tama. It's a mindset, no?
Okay. And doon talaga dapat tayo magkaroon siya ng clarity kasi nga minsan akala natin mag-isip ka lang ng positive magiging okay lahat eh. Pero nga like what you said, dapat meron kang ginagawa doon sa current situation more than just thinking positive.
That is true. That is true, Jay.
Galing. So, parang ano to, no? It's a balance between optimism and realism.
Yes.
Na kailangan you have to be realistic as well. Na pwede ko sabihin na, let's say ako, kunyari, I have a financial goal. I want to earn 1 million dirhams this next 6 months. So, optimist, pero hindi siya realistic, right? So, pero yun yung question ko, Doki, no? Paano mo mag-strike ng balance between realism and optimism?
Ayan, so another very interesting question, which is also very difficult to address, Jay, ha? In many circumstances, I would say this, dahil marami rin tayong mga opposing facts on that note. Pero I will use the most, kumbaga, searched information dun sa realistic optimism. Tsaka yun more on, is your question more on the unrealistic optimism, no, Jay?
Yes,
so yung
yung
first and foremost, I would want to say again, yung sa biological side of doing things para may scientific rin tayo explanation. So the brain is definitely giving us a built-in optimism bias, no? Yung sa optimism bias natin, it's a phenomenon obviously which is often referred to as the illusion of invulnerability. Para bang dito nga tayo pumapasok dun sa lahat ng excessive, lahat ng sobra nakakasama. At lahat ng below din naman dun sa expectation natin ay hindi rin maganda, no? So lahat ng kulang at labis hindi maganda, no? So yung optimism bias dun na yung pumapasok na pag nasobrahan naman yung optimism mo, dito na pumapasok yung more on unrealistic optimism o yung personal fable na tinatawag, no? So we don't want to be more unrealistic pagka nag-draw tayo na, oh, I want to become the best financial expert in town. Tapos hindi ka naman again, bumabalik tayo dun sa unang definition natin when we were starting, sa prelude natin, Jay, na wala ka namang ginagawa to
Ginagawa.
enhance yourself, di ba? Hindi ka
Yes.
nagpa-certify o hindi ka uma-attend ng mga workshops, hindi ka uma-attend ng mga webinars na gaya nito, for example, ng mga experts na gaya ninyo. And yung learning doesn't stop eh. So kung ganun yung ginagawa mo na basta positive perspective, and then again sa bandang dulo, you will come to that point of dissatisfaction, yung appraisal mo of the entire life cycle that you have had, yung tinatawag nating subjective well-being, yung iba-iba interpretation natin ng well-being, di ba?
Yes.
So may nalaman siya doon sa optimism na yon, na yung optimism bias na pagka nasobrahan yung invulnerability, it's the illusion na, no? More na illusion rather than the reality. Doon na pumapasok yung magandang term na binanggit mo, Jay, na unrealistic optimism, which is not achievable, and it becomes more of your personal fable, no? F-A-B-L-E, na parang fairy tale na lang
Story
yan.
mo na lang, oo.
Exactly. So imagine gusto mo magkaroon ng financial well-being, for example, pero yung financial cushion mo na tinatawag against unexpected expenses and emergencies, hindi mo naman hindi nagsuffice sa current na projections mo. So hindi siya realistic, no? Gusto mong dinideklara mo that I am financially okay.
Abundant kunyari, oo.
Abundant, for example, financial well-being is there in the next 5 years, pero hindi mo siya na-fulfill nung dumating yung pandemic, no? Kahit more than 5 years na yung dumaan. So yun, doon talaga pumapasok yung optimism bias, which is connected to the unrealistic optimism you mentioned.
And eto pala, Doc, habang nag-uusap tayo, naisip ko bigla yung mga affirmations na lagi ko nababasa eh. Yung power of affirmations. May truth ba talaga doon? Or may nabasa ko rin kasi isang book about that, na sinasabi nila hindi maganda yung affirmation kasi sinasabi lang niya kung ano yung klaseng tao na hindi ikaw. Let's say, I am abundant, I am free, I am confident, pero alam mo sarili mo na hindi. Pero pinractice ko naman siya before. Affirmations really helped me a lot eh. Pero gusto ko lang din malaman yung thought mo on that. Kasi I think it also builds optimism. Sa akin, it helped me build optimism during the times na I'm discovering itong self-development journey ko eh.
Ako, Jay, I fully support that because it's really part of law of attraction, no, na pag you really declare and affirm, things will happen. You know, way back, I would want to share a portion of my experience. There was a time, Jay, who would know that someone who was looking for scholarship back then, because I belong to a very poor family. My family is really impoverished, no? And I'm not shameful to share this dahil talagang may one term ako na hindi ko siya, na drop off ako, no? Who would know that a person who has now I'm running for my third doctorate. Now I'm about to graduate in 2022. That's in Paris. Many of my colleagues back then were mentioning, we didn't envision you to be like this because I was very shy. Ako yung type ng tao na halos binabato na ako ng teacher ko, Jay, ng eraser, and it really happened. No? Napunta sa mukha ko yung chalk out of the eraser that was thrown by the teacher, and was bullied in class. Wala talagang success factor na makikita ang kahit sino sa akin ng elementary days. Nagbago lahat yon back in high school because of the optimism that I have drawn internally. Nung papagraduate na ako ng elementary, sabi ko, I don't want to be like this. So I declared, sabi ko, I need to really pursue my education, and by finishing, at that time, sabi ko, I need to be a PhD degree holder by the age of 33. And it happened, no? This is back in elementary. I really want what I want in life na. Pero sabi ko, hindi naman yun, wala akong feeling ng revenge among other negative aspects. Basta sinabi ko lang na when I reach high school, definitely I will be a different person. It really happened, no? I was a leader in the school. So meron talagang, wag mong dalhin yung sarili mo dun sa learned helplessness na sinasabi mo kanina, Jay. Pag natutunan mo yung helpless ka, all throughout your life you will be miserable, you know? And of course, being miserable has its different angles. Depende ako paano mo tinitingnan. Pero going back to what you said, I fully support affirmation. It's really something that builds not just your confidence but your optimism in life, and it brings you to that cycle, no? Talagang very powerful yung imagination, Jay. So if you want to become really good in what you do, be financially okay, at that, you can achieve that, provided that first and foremost you need to really have that state that you're visualizing yourself that you will be there. But the next few steps are crucial, na hindi pwedeng matutulog ka lang dun sa pangarap mo. Do something about it, di ba? So yan, who would know
Actions
na
talaga.
ako yung naghahanap ng scholarship for myself. Now I'm the one providing scholarship for these people.
Wow.
Yun
Grabe,
yung isang magandang gusto kong sabihin, not to brag but to inspire people that kung nagawa ko to, magagawa din nila yan eh. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
Agree. Na-inspire talaga ako sa mga sinabi mo dahil naalala ko before nasabi ko yata sa last episode pero you said something about me sa isang event natin dito sa community na parang I can reach greater heights. Sabi ko hindi ko alam kung ano sinasabi ni Doc Rommel pero naka-inspire siya sa akin and natanim mo siya sa akin eh. So, natanim mo siya sa akin. Subconsciously sabi ko may taong naniniwala sa akin and ito si Doc Rommel kaya sabi ko, kailangan ko may gawin din dahil ayokong sayangin yung na-envision niya siguro for me. Parang gano'n. I mean,
your potential I've seen your potential, Jay. Yeah.
I think yung act of kindness na ginawa mo sa akin built my optimism, and it's also the same thing that I'm doing now. If I see people who are trying to do their best and then parang hindi pa nila nakita yung resulta, pero I try to give some encouraging words for those people para at least somehow, in some way, magkaroon sila ng self-confidence kasi it helped me of how you've done to me. So, yun, parang it's also a way of me saying thanks for that random meet-up natin.
Salamat din, pero hindi ko na siya matandaan. Pero alam mo na, when you feel like saying it because you're connected to the person and you've seen something special about that person, it's worth articulating it, no? It could change lives of people, not just yours, but your viewers as well, Jay, diba?
So yun. So thank you. So guys, yun, dami namin nakuwento agad ni Doc Rommel.
Most welcome.
Pero yan, you really need to show kindness sa mga tao kasi it will help them some way in their parts of their life, diba?
Jay, ang good news about being kind and optimism at the same time is that it prolongs your lifespan. That's one of the good researches that there are. Global researchers would prove that.
Kasama pala yun. So dapat talagang pagplanuhan ko yung retirement ko kasi kailangan tumagal yung retirement fund ko.
Amen.
Talking about finances na, Doc.
Oo, exactly.
Ano ba talagang financial rewards ng optimism? Ayan.
Ay, nako. Maganda ang sinasabi ng ating literatura. Naku, Tagalog talaga yan.
Lalim.
Yan. So, first and foremost, talagang parang financial literacy yan na it's a skill at the same time it's a trait, sabi ko nga kanina, no? So, ang binabanggit ng ating literature here, other than those mentioned a while ago on the benefits, no? 90% ng optimists daw have basically put their money, their hard-earned finances aside for a major purchase compared to 70% pessimists. They're into business. So pwede mong masabi na may correlation yung optimism sa risk-taking behavior. Kanina ang ganda ng intro mo about the behavior before you called me to come in. And it's basically one of the various good outcomes of optimism. So nandyan yung pagiging open mo on so many things. Sabi nga natin kanina, gawin mo din yung part mo, do something about it. Don't just imagine, don't just dream. So you need to do something about that, which optimists, according to research, do not endeavor with. They don't invest that much kasi naunahan na sila ng fears nila, ng pangamba nila, yung negativity nila. Hindi na ako papasok dyan sa ganyang investment, hindi na ako magkakaroon ng sarili kong insurance, no? Baka magsara naman yung insurance company na yan, wag na. Di ba, ganyan na
Oo.
Lalo na nagsara halimbawa yung CAP sa Pilipinas years back. Naku, yun agad yung maririnig mo sa Filipino community. And cultural ito kasi, Jay, according sa mga experts natin, di ba, na nagbibigay ng information about optimism, no? So, dyan mo makikita yung differences ng mga tao across culture, but definitely it's cultural as well, other than behavioral and biological, no? kailangan natin ng validation, Jay. We need people like
Okay.
you and those in the community to give head start information, more accurate information on that note. But yeah, there's a big role that optimism portrays when it comes to
Mhm.
investing, when it comes to becoming more financially literate and to become an expert in the near future, no? Kasi nga kung hindi mo embrace yung possibility, yung positivity, I mean yung possibility rather of being successful in whatever definition you may have of success, because that's relative.
Relative,
Um,
yes.
yeah, it's relative. Nandyan talaga yung pumapasok yung yung risk-taking behavior ng
Mhm.
isang optimist. Yeah.
Okay. So, yung na-mention mo na mga, ano tawag dito, yung mga statistics na yun, na-check ko rin siya online. Galing ito kay,
Oo.
parang isang positive psychology researcher, pangalan niya si Miss Michelle Gillen, and doon ko siya
Yes,
nakita, di ba? And
that's true.
gusto ko nga dagdagan doon, na sabi niya doon, optimists spend daw, 145 days less than pessimists worrying about their finances.
Yeah,
And,
it's part of the
di ba?
study. Yeah, it's part of
Grabe,
that
sabi ko.
study. Mhm.
Laki, ang daming oras doon, hindi ka kasi nga hindi ka
Layo.
magwo-worry about things na hindi naman within your control, 'di ba?
That is
And and they're also 7 times as likely to experience better financial health than pessimists. Grabe tong study na to, kaya tuwan-tuwa ako nung nalaman ko nga tapos i-discuss ko with you, and you've also said na ganun nga rin siya talaga. Pero eto nga,
Global
Dok, no,
study kasi ito eh.
merong merong parang chicken and egg na question dito sa optimism eh.
Hmm.
Talaga bang mas nagiging positive ang mga taong well-off versus than the others, or kaya sila naging financially well-off is because they're optimists? Ano ba sa
Oo,
tingin mo ang
ayan.
pwedeng
Oo, talaga namang may debate diyan going around. Pero I might as well choose one side, no? Of course, there are two sides of the story as always. Sabi mo nga kanina, which one comes first, no? The egg or the chicken? At dito
Yeah.
pumapasok yung question na yun eh. No,
Yes.
kung i-generate kasi natin yung information about yung global studies and the trends, no? May tinatawag tayong it's not trends in itself, trajectory of studies, we
Okay.
call it like that sa research, no? Makikita natin yung better understanding and connection more on being financially sound because of optimism rather than the other way around, no?
Mhm.
Kasi yung iba naman na talagang well off na binabanggit din naman sa literature, parang they were born with a silver spoon on their mouth, no? Yung tinatawag natin na more on what do you call this, a perceptual cue na yung many of them na hindi nila naranasan talaga how it takes to build their own business. So parang they're not really taking it seriously. Maraming factors, no? But of course hindi naman lagi. It's like more of a general idea. Unlike yung a person who really strived and envisioned it to be, who started from scratch, na hindi naman talaga nagkaroon ng ganong magandang financial
Opportunity.
stability at the beginning, yes.
Yeah.
I would say it's more of a springboard that if you have optimism with you, you get the opportunity really to attract positivity among individuals, and so as the environment where you belong. Kasi sabi nga natin kanina, it's a choice. If you will be in
Yes.
that environment of negativity, live with it, and definitely, you'll be able to get more of the negativity in that cycle or in that circle. So yeah, for me, it's one of those. And yung siguro nakita mo rin yung isa sa mga studies, Jay, ng Frost. No? It's an international organization. Optimism positively connects with financial health. No, sa yung objectives ng research na yon, which is very recent, is that you really need to look into the measurement of your financial well-being and optimism first and foremost. Ibig sabihin they go together.
Yes.
No, yung financial literacy mo daw, yung capacity mo is also intertwined with your optimism. So they have to go together. Kung may imbalance dun sa dalawa, you will be able to identify connections, yung between outlook, yung actions and attitudes may not coincide as well, no? So you imagine yung action more on the financial side, that it's the outcome of your actual performance, and then yung outlook on attitude, which is more on optimism, they need to jive. So tama nga naman na pagka sugod ka lang ng sugod, you're very much dun na unrealistic
Oo,
possibility,
optimist.
no?
Oo.
Or optimism, unrealistic. doon na pumapasok ang optimism bias nga na hindi nagiging
Mm.
balance. Nagiging drawing lang yung pangarap mo. Tapos hindi ka naman pala equipped with that financial skill, with that
Yes.
financial ability. So doon na pumapasok yung deeper understanding sa three phases, yung relationship between optimism and financial well-being
Okay.
have to really be interconnected.
Okay, so talagang magkasama. So, iniisip ko nga kanina, no, kung ako papipiliin din, pera o optimism, I'd rather choose optimism kasi yung pera nauubos eh. Pero
Totoo
yung
yan.
choice
Totoo
mo
yan.
na maging optimist, you can gather so many inspiration sa ganung mindset. Just make sure na
Right.
you're surrounded with the right people and you consume content or affirmations that attribute to positivity or optimism rather.
That is
So,
true. That's true. So
and
yun, ang hindi rin magandang tingnan, Jay, o hindi magandang sabihin rather na yung mga may pera ay mas more optimist than the others kasi dami mo rin makikita talaga na nandyan, mayaman, well-off, siguro embedded na yan sa family nila, yung trace ng yung nature ba ng nangyari is mayaman na siya pinanganak. Hindi naman niya kasalanan yon. Pero ang point is, hindi mo rin pwedeng i-generalize and there's no research that would affirm that those well-off people are more optimist than the others, no? Hindi rin pumapunta doon sa fact na yon na because if that's true, we have a better society to live in. You have more volunteers to uplift the quality of life of people nowadays because there are rich people who would be helping us, psychosocially. Hindi naman nangyayari yun most of the time, di ba? Very few nga sa kanila yung ganun eh.
Yeah,
Mas makikita mo pa tayong common tao na gaya natin, Jay, na wala na nga halos mailabas. It's not all about money.
Yes.
It's something that would be time, it could be expertise, part of our community engagement. That's part of optimism because you want to contribute, it's part of your vision to contribute to the quality of life people have.
Exactly. Kaya hopefully nga talaga mas dumami yung optimists na
that's my realization.
sa different different levels of society. Kasi nga kailangan natin ng bawat isa sa isang team, ang isang organization or isang business, they really need to have that certain outlook in life para makatulong din tayo in general. Kasi tayo, we can help in our own little ways. Pero what more if you are in the position and has the means, di ba, to have that financial rewards na ma-attain and also at the same time magkaroon ng mindset that would help so many people through optimism.
Exactly.
Woo, okay.
Yes.
And eto, na-mention mo yung optimism bias, Doki, and when we talk about behavioral finance, meron din tinatawag na overconfidence bias. And dangerous ito when it comes to investing. So, may difference ba si optimism bias and overconfidence bias?
Yes,
and how
there's a great difference between these two. I mean, a major difference. No, the optimism bias, as a recap, is essentially mistaken belief that our chances of experiencing negative events are lower, and our chances of experiencing positive events are higher than those of our peers. No, optimism bias yon. So, ibig sabihin, parang dina-generalize mo na since I'm a very optimist person, most likely I will be successful than the others. No? Sweeping statement yon. Again, if you will not be able to have several paces of plan for your growth, no, that includes the major topic of having very good financial outlook and at the same time the skill to achieve that. I mean your goal of being financially unburdened in a way. No, so dyan yung optimism bias na you overcalculate things, no?
Okay.
Sa business kasi 'di ba may tinatawag tayo na calculated risk.
Yes.
So opposite yung optimism bias, no, na hindi mo na recognize what's happening now. Kaya nga yung optimism na share ko kanina yung outlook ni Simon Sinek na it's really more on drawing what's happening now and then from there draw your projections in the near future, no. So that's what it is. And I think when it comes to the overconfidence bias naman that you were asking, ang galing nung kombinasyon ng bias.
I mean,
yung kombinasyon, kundi yung pagkakaiba ng bias na yun. That some people may say, pareho lang yan kasi yung optimism bias, naging overconfident ka about drawing your objectives and the outcomes of those objectives, no? Pero pag titingnan mo in context, the overconfidence bias is basically the tendency of a person to overestimate their abilities. So it's not the goal and who you would want it to be that you overestimate. It's the ability, your ability. So looking into
Ability
your
siya.
actual set of skill set. So let's say, for example, we take optimism as a skill, not as a trait, no, sa discussion
Okay.
na to. Parang sinasabi mo na magiging excelente ako sa aking business. Let's say
Mhm.
restaurant, no, you have built your own restaurant. Then hindi ka naman pala mahusay operationally, strategically, financially, no? Yung mga aspects ba ng both layers of operation strategy, yung business strategy and corporate strategy, kung magiging technical tayo sa discussion.
Okay.
So yung ability mo pala hindi pala sumuswak either dun sa operational or dun sa higher level strategies, no? So as a strategist, you don't have that skill. Na overlook mo yon, no? Na overcalculate mo. So it's more on the overconfidence bias.
Bias.
Na
Okay.
pumapasok doon, no? So pwede kong sabihin na magkaiba siya in a way na yung isa is centralized more on overestimating the ability, and the other one is overestimating on the realities of life, plus the inability to really see a picture out of what's happening now and what will happen in the near future. Mas more on more on optimism bias naman yun.
Okay, so parang technically, Doc, no, kapag optimism bias, parang bulag ka sa katotohanan.
Maganda yan.
Ito yung, akala mo ito yung pwede mangyari, sobrang positive mo. Let's say, mga nag-i-invest basta-basta sa crypto, ganyan, without really thinking it through and calculating the risks. Itong si overconfidence bias naman, sobrang believe ka sa sarili mo kasi pwedeng siguro dun sa sari-sari store mo nag-work siya. And inisip mo na, it's only a matter of concept. Kahit gaano kaliit or kalakihan, it's just the same concept. So, pwedeng ganun.
Which is wrong. Yes.
Oo. Kaya nga, naisip ko rin bigla kasi kung kaya ko maging successful to sari-sari store ko, kaya ko rin maging successful itong mini-mart ko. So, ibang, doon na pumapasok si overconfidence bias.
Yes, true.
Ang galing. Yun, thank you. Nagkaroon ng clarity. Kasi talagang inisip ko, parang pareho sila eh. And kailangan ko tanungin yung expert. Si Doc Rommel lang pagdating sa psychology, okay?
Marami tayong expert sa paligid, pero salamat po sa tiwala.
Galing.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. Ito naman, dahil alam natin na pandemic talaga ngayon and sobrang nahihirapan sa sitwasyon ngayon. Pero paano ba talaga natin ipapractice ang pagiging optimistic during the times of crisis? How do we remain? And una, how do we remain? And pangalawa, if hindi talaga tayo optimistic sa buhay, how do we become optimistic in times of crisis?
Ayan. So, again, isa yan sa napaka-challenging na question mo today, Jane. In a way na, una-una, pag ilalagay ko yung aspect na may mga tao talaga na mahirap na ma-persuade. Kahit anong gawin mo, you can be the best influencer in town, Jay, pero yung iba na talagang sarado ang isip. Alam mo yan kasi nagpo-provide ka talaga ng financial literacy in so many levels, no? At makikita mo na marami talagang sarado yung isip nila. Yes. Dahil that's how they are eh. It's already more on the perspective of trait na, hindi na skill sa aspect na to na they're really inborn with that negativity in them. Integrated na talaga sa skin nila, sa system nila yan. So kahit anong gawin mo dyan, magpatambling-tambling ka dyan at tumulay ka sa alambre, walang mangyayari. No? Pero ang masasabi ko dun sa open, no? Kasi I want to emphasize this, Jay, kasi ang viewers natin, ang listeners natin will definitely say na ako open ako dyan, yung iba hindi. So may ganang aspect. Yung open, ang masasabi ko dyan is maliit o malaking bagay man na magiging eye-opener sa kanila. Like one, what you have been doing right now as part of your advocacy. Two, it could be a very simple post on positivity. And some people like you, Jay, who would probably click the like button rather than the thumbs down, no? Kung minsan kahit sa YouTube may makikita kang mga tao na nakuha pa nilang mag-thumbs down instead na ignore na lang. Kita mo yung negativity doon, Jay, no?
Oo nga, no?
Ang dami nun na gano'n. O kaya naman dun sa iba na instead na heart or like, yung crying na
Yung
ano,
angry pa minsan.
emoticon ang gagamitin. Kita mo agad yun sa maliliit na bagay, no? So, masasabi ko na sa mga open at talagang optimist na or open yung iba-iba pa rin ang level ng optimism natin, no? Meron dyan yung talagang oversensitive to it. Maliit na bagay, malaki na sa kanila yun, May pinagdadaanan, nakita nila yung positivity quote, ang laking impact sa kanila yon. So for me, one is use your influence in social media. That's very important nowadays. I mean, people across ages, they are into social media. So you can make a difference in what you're doing one day at a time. No? Second, be open to the possibility of helping others as well. No? Because, optimism is not just about thinking of good things that will happen in the near future. It's a matter of practicing it now, as I've mentioned. And even your advocacy for physical fitness, no? Yung iba sa atin na into it, nagpo-post sila. Yung iba na, ay, kailangan ko na to, no? I'm gaining weight na, no? Or ngayong pandemic, nakaka-depress ng static lang yung katawan mo kasi ang katawan natin pala is built by the good Lord to really move, no? So pag hindi tayo nag-move, nandiyan na in lahat, depression is coming in, high blood pressure, lahat na, no? So yung maliit na bagay na yun na nilalagay mo sa Facebook mo, you are already an ambassador of change. You're already an ambassador of optimism for people, no? So pangatlo, live by the words, walk the talk, no? So kung binabanggit na sa social media, ginagawa mo naman din at some extent. So maganda rin 'yon na you're really seen as a person. It's not just about what you're posting. And you become a person of character more than a person of knowledge, no?
So kailangan din talaga na i-exercise. Hindi lang siya more on about thinking and saying it, but you also have to do it. Lalo na ngayon kasi ang hirap, like before, parang umabot sa point na I was depressed and kailangan ko talaga makaalis sa depression, and lahat ng klase ng positivity ina-absorb ko through social media. Yun nga, parang yung painful experience na yun, dapat parang kahit sabihin ko band-aidan na lang muna temporarily. Kahit bulahin muna lang ako ng something na positive, baka pwede ko nang tanggapin yan. Yun yung iniisip ko nun .
Jay, I commend you for being true to yourself because it's also an entry toward, kasi yung self-compassion is very important, and you only come to see a part of you losing. You're losing a part of you because of your I cannot definitely say depressive episodes, pero if you're confirming it is, kahit sinong nasa area, psychologist man yan or psychiatrist, they also undergo the same thing, no? I myself na experience ko rin yan during the pandemic at during the time na hindi natuloy yung Southville project natin, no? Nag-resign ako and then have to move to another work na wala pala akong work. I just have known na yung 11-year engagement ko sa Canadian University has ended kasi I thought magtutuloy nga yung project last year and nagkaroon ng pandemic, di ba? So, yun, hindi naman sa last resort yung current job, pero I need to seek for other jobs. In between, for about 2 to 3 months, I felt that I was depressed. I don't want to see light. I don't want to see people, no? Maniniwala ka ba, Jay, na kinoveran ko pa ng foil yung window ko. Oo, kasi ayoko makita ng light. So technically, you avoid people light in itself. Parang ka in-embrace na ng darkness.
Darkness.
Yeah, and if your optimism doesn't work there and physically you're not into exercise, kaya pala yung exercise or physical activities somehow connected sa optimism, Jay, no? Bago ka mentally okay, is that of course, as you know, may mga hormones tayo na nagre-release o nagsisecrete ng positive outlook or optimism sa ating buhay, and that includes yung mga hormones natin when we go into exercise.
Serotonin ba yan, Doc?
Serotonin, dopamine.
Dopamine.
Yeah. But yung endorphin is something that you generate out of your physical activity. So 15 minutes lang na walking, ang laki na pala ng naidudulot niyan sa brain natin to become more optimist. Yeah.
So kasama talagang exercise din sa kasi nung time na yun, Doc, nagpakapagod ako sa pag-exercise. Para rin mapagod ako nga, and then pag uwi ko, hindi ko naisipin yung problema ko. And I've read books. I've read books like Man's Search for Meaning ni Viktor Frankl, and then
Victor.
doon ko
Victor
rin
is a
nabasa yung
psychologist. Yes.
yes, oo, ano siya, Austrian neurologist, and then naging victim
Yes.
siya nung Holocaust, right? Tapos doon ko
Correct.
nabasa sa kanya yung tragic optimism. Sabi niya, ano ba 'tong
Mm.
tragic optimism? Pero parang ang ano niya lang talaga doon
Yun,
is
doon tayo pumapasok. Lahat
kaya nga
tayo,
eh.
nasa pandemic
Yes.
tayo.
Yes,
Yes.
and ang sabi niya doon is para nga mawala ka doon sa state na yon, you have to put meaning doon sa ginagawa mo. Ano yung
Yes.
meaning nung activity na yun sa buhay mo? And
Yes.
instead of saying or asking the world what it can offer you, ask the question na what can you offer to the world? And then nung nabasa kong line na yun, sabi ko, shucks, oo nga, no, masyado ko pala ako naging selfish kasi parang I'm seeking na validation or comfort from the outside world. Pero I should be the one contributing. And then from there, after ko mabasa yung book na yun, talagang nagbago yung mindset ko about optimism, how I should act and how I should try to make a contribution dito sa mundo. And then from there, nag-start na magbago yung mindset, nagkaroon na ng journey towards personal development. Kaya na in love ako sa subject ng psychology.
I got goosebumps naman doon sa sinabi mo. I
Talaga.
was listening to you, and yeah, you're very much true sa generalization mo. Kasi nga yung kay Viktor Frankl na yan, when I was in my early days of studying psychology, of course, The Meaning of Life is a book, no? And you're right that the Holocaust days, more on the aftermath of what do you call this, World War II.
Yes.
No? So doon pumapasok yung Jay, probably you have touched base with it na sa pandemic i-apply natin yung binanggit mo na The Meaning of Life o yung Man's Search for Meaning, no, ni Victor. But yung tragic optimism na binanggit mo kanina is we are into that now, no. So sabi niya dun sa unang findings is the 3 phases of outcome, psychological phases, general psychological phases ng into a crisis. That kaya sinabing tragic optimism na yung mga optimist daw can really hurdle or can somehow be exposed, and it's more contributing towards resiliency din, no? So sabi niya din yung mga prisoners of war, for example, yung first phase come into shock. Ganyan nangyari sa atin nung start ng pandemic. We're all awed about what's happening. We all suffered from shock at some extent. It's manifested in the way we think, the way we react, the way we post our messages in social network.
Yes.
Nandun yung undertone ng negativity, no? So yung kanina binabanggit ko na kung na touch base mo yung ANTS, automatic negative thoughts, ng tao na talagang tayo daw ay prone doon, gaya na introduction ko kanina. You may fall into that trap of being shocked, no? Yung second part na binabanggit ni Victor doon is a state of apathy, no? Andyan na yung emotional response mo na parang you're less sensitive to people's plight. Nangyari din yon during the pandemic kasi survival of the fittest, no? Parang unahin ko yung sarili ko rather than other people. O yung binanggit mo kanina na hindi necessarily inuna mo yung sarili mo, Jay, pero yung seeking affirmation that you're not becoming more sensitive na, hey, it's bigger than you. What's happening right now, it's not about me anymore, no? It's about the world. It's about surviving this kind of turbulence that we have. And third, yung people daw na during that war experience some sort of depersonalization, which is tayo din, no? Yung depersonalization, yung bang kumakawala ka dun sa real nature mo na out of being insensitive dun sa second part na sinasabi niya, state of apathy, pumapasok na dun yung nagiging depersonalized na yung thoughts mo over your body, which you're not taking care of nga through exercise and all that. Mas nahihiwalay ka dun, parang nagkakaroon ka ng split personality. Some people would tell you, oh, ikaw ba yan during these difficult times? Nag-iba ka, no? So yung ganyan ba na aspect, ang generalization dyan ni Victor na pwede nating i-apply ngayon, yung specific psychological methods for resistance, very high for those optimists. So ibig sabihin, you have your rich inner life, future-oriented goal, and discovery of meaning in your suffering. So in the middle of your suffering, here comes a realization, oh, because I have this built-in capacity. You may say it's either a trait or a skill, regardless na, no? The thing is that the bottom line is that you were able to survive and still you were able to influence other people the way you can. Ito ang binanggit mo kanina kaya siguro ako nagka-goosebumps na ang realization ko ito no I should do more. I should not center much the attention on
Oo.
myself rather
Self.
than how can I make a difference in the world. No, ito yun eh. Ito yung
Mm.
meaning ng existence according to Victor
Grabe.
Frankl.
Naalala ko tuloy yung salitang suffering. There's meaning in your suffering nga daw talaga, no, na
Exactly. Isang
and
ironic, no? But there
oo,
is.
and it's upon you kung paano mo i-define yung meaning. Kaya isa pang sigurong maganda pag-usapan is ano yung impact ng mga meaning na binibigyan natin sa mga bagay-bagay kasi it will shape our thinking and our actions as well. So grabe, sarap talaga pag-usapan ng psychology, Doc.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Marami tayong episodes dito, promise. Ngayon, naman
Salamat.
is ang sumunod na gusto ko sana pag-usapan nga din. Na-mention mo na kanina kung paano ako siguro or yung mga tao na at least makapag-spread ng optimism or how they would develop optimism. Pero in addition dun sa pag-take action, not just saying it, ano pa ba sa tingin mo, Doc, ang pinaka-best ways para ma-develop itong mindset na to? Para dun sa mga tao na gusto nga siyang gawin talaga.
Yeah, gusto niyang kumbaga maging more of a skill rather than a trait. Kasi kung a trait,
skill siya.
lalo na yung wala naman nun, built in na yung negativity, gawin mo na lang skill, no? So, ako first and foremost, ang dami syempre pumapasok sa isip ko, but I can name 5 out of the many, no? Yung top 5 na I would think would help our kababayans or other nationalities who may be able to come across this dialogue of ours. Mm-hmm. So, despite the popular belief, Jay, that positive thinkers don't always see the world through the rose-colored glasses, no, as it may seem, having that mindset of being a realistic optimist, no. Mm-hmm. It says positivity that come what may, draw a line between the reality and something that you want to become in the near future. So it takes some time before you can have that kind of checklist or balance in between, no? But it's a learned capacity. Second is to choose on the good, no? Okay. Dahil sabi nga natin sa optimism, it's not the absence of negativity. No, it's you to further scrutinize, see how you can work within the negative boundaries of things, and then move out of that negative cluster, no, all along. So you choose to focus on the good rather, because you have to see also what's not so good, no. I can't even mention the bad, because in psychology it's better that you put it in a more positive outlook, to somehow use the right words. So if focus on the good, right, and be mindful. That's the third. So first is for you to really draw the realistic, the foundation of what's going on, and then draw what you think you would become in the near future. The second, as I've mentioned, is focus on the good. Third, engage in positive activities. This is where the mindset is coming in, or being mindful, no. So if you will use the grit there, it's really connected, no. You mentioned emotional intelligence at the beginning in your introduction, Jay. Grit, name it, social skills, no, but these are confounded within the ability of optimism, because optimism in itself is a soft skill. It's a soft skill as well. So engage in positive activities, be mindful, have a growth mindset rather than having the mindset of the power of now, no. These are two different things. You don't have to fear failure. Recognize it. Once you are in that state of being a failure, learn from it. Don't be stuck into that moment of having that feeling of being a failure. Remember, many times it has been proven, Jay, that the escalation to a greater height is basically your entry level towards having failures. No? So if the more failures you have, the more opportunities there will be for you. So pag hindi natin inisip yon, ang inisip mo lagi, ay ayoko ng failure, o na-experience yung failure, you lived in that moment. So hindi ka nag-grow. No? So parang ulan lang yan, no? It pumapasok, lumalabas. So na-experience mo ngayon, hindi na yung ganyan bukas. So it's you who's driving the show, right? Last but not the least, the physical activities, I would be consistent in this because it draws, the unimaginable, insurmountable benefit. As you know, the exercise provides you with a lot of hormonal secretion towards the feeling of being positive. Minsan nga naisip natin, Jay, parang pag nag-exercise ka, naisip mo minsan, parang wala, lahat ng bagay kaya kong gawin, no? Kahit pagod
Oo.
ka na, sa gabi, ang dami mo pang energy kasi totoo yun, really proven, no? And yun, nabanggit ko nga kanina na mas mahaba yung lifespan ng mga taong optimists rather than those who are not.
Optimist and kind people live longer. Oo nga, tama. May na-mention ka about yung Power of Now and ano yung isa, sorry. Kasi I think yung Power of Now is an idea or a book ni Eckhart Tolle ba? Tolle? Ewan ko paano basahin yung kanyang
Which is
surname.
also mentioned naman din as an emphasis dun sa kay Angela, yun sa kanyang grit na
Angela
book.
Duckworth ba yan?
Yung
Yeah.
mentioned there, but she emphasized more on growth mindset, which is the power of the future, in viewing the power of the future.
Okay, hindi ko pa nababasa yung libro ni Eckhart pero siguro even
Mhm.
yung kay Angela.
Papasahin kita ng ebook.
Ayan, sige, gusto ko yan.
Meron naman ako niyan, sige lang.
Dami, thank you dun sa mga lessons na yun. Ngayon, Doc, we've been talking so much about optimism all throughout this hour na. Pero, eto rin na-curious din ako kasi nga, you mentioned din na you also have to see the bad or the good side in every bad situation. Depends kung nung pagkaka-define mo ng bad situation or good situation,
yes.
di ba? Merong bang positive side ang pessimism?
Aha. Okay, so yung time of crisis natin ngayon, talaga masasabi mo naman na nag-activate talaga yung ant natin, yung automatic negative thoughts, no? Pero nonetheless, it's part of being human, no? Hindi ko rin pwedeng sabihin niya, it's very sweeping statement for someone like me to say that totally neglect, do not recognize that being negative of yours. You have to. It's the first pace, no? Lalo na dun sa mga hindi masyadong aware na negative na pala sila kasi yung pagiging negative minsan pag natural na yan sa na hindi mo alam na negatibo na pala yung dinadala mo na information, no. Pero ang masasabi natin diyan, Jay, is that in the event that you are in that predisposed function to become negative, no, always think nandiyan lagi yung ano natin, altered ego, no, lalo na dun sa mga talagang sensitive. Sensitivity is the name of the game. So if your sensitivity is not really up and running at a certain period of time, it may also redound to your being rude or you're not really becoming an optimist at that, no. So wag magkaroon ng depersonalization doon na kumakawala ka doon sa expected meaning ng optimism. So yun, it's so important for us to recognize the influence that we have currently for other people, and that gives us that impression na hindi tayo perfect, no. Dumadaan talaga tayo dun sa period na yun na unaware ka man or aware ka, dadaan ka dun sa phase na yun na nagkakaroon ka ng self-doubt, and that in itself is being negative, right? Because once you have that outlook na na-shade na ng kahit pa paano, you're shaken. Oops, tutuloy pa ako dito sa business ko. Oops, financially hindi na nagiging maganda yung nangyayari, no? And then your tendency is to back off, right? Or to somehow step aside or step back, right? Yeah. So nandiyan yan, hindi ko pwedeng i-conclude that it's definitely not good. At times it helps you bring your actual normalcy into the actual flight or into the actual fight, no. So mahalaga din yung ma-recognize when there's negativity in me na pala, or when somebody would mention that to you, recognize that, because if not, hindi pumapasok yung healthy outlook mo about life and about people. Therefore yung negativity mo nandiyan pa din, nakikita mo na hindi, nagiging defensive ako. This is not what optimism is, right? So mas dapat ma-recognize mo yung sinasabi ng iba, lalo na kung may point naman.
Yes.
No, this is part of optimism. And again, para bang yung nabanggit mo na, is it really that bad, no? Or is it do we need a little bit of that? Actually, hindi ko siya pwedeng sabihin na take it away from you completely, because you can never be successful as well. This is part of the hurdle that you need to recognize, and this is the hurdle that you need to also overcome.
Mhm.
Lahat tayo dadaan dyan sa period na yun. Kasi sabi ko nga, there is a primitive part of our brain, no? Most likely part of your parietal and temporal lobes, no? We have
Mhm.
4 lobes of the brain. And yung front natin, tsaka dito sa may side natin, pareho yan nagko-contribute dun sa dalawang, ano na yan, Jay, no? Two para siyang magnet, no? That's
Okay.
2 different opposite poles. Pag activate sa'yo yung automatic negative response mo, negative yon. Pero pag may skill ka to see the difference, no, oops, may nangyaring unfortunate events, no? Pandemic, business is closing down or business is about to go down, or a friend of yours whose business happened to be going down, or direct competitor mo na minsan ang unang impulse mo is, oops, mangyayari din sa akin to. I'm about to experience the same. So pag yung unang, yun agad ang pumasok sa'yo, hindi mo na counter fit yon. Hindi mo na paglabanan dahil hindi agad yung positive, yung optimist side of you yung lumabas.
Lumabas.
Negative agad. Tapos hindi mo agad na nasalag yon, hindi mo na recognize na nandun ka na sa zone na yon, I definitely you will fail, no? Kasi hindi mo na na-control na overpower ka na ng emotion more than your cognitive or your logical and critical thinking. So
yun talaga.
Emotion sa atin.
And like what you said, Doc, normal sa brains natin na maka-experience talaga na itong negative and pessimism, and kung hindi natin i-train yung brain to see it, to filter it, or to at least acknowledge it, then tayo yung makukonsume na itong feeling to. Like naisip ko kanina habang sasalita ka na ngayong pandemic, ang daming mga nawalang mahal sa buhay. Ako, I lost my cousin na talagang sobrang close ko when I was young.
And sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Instead of nung una nalungkot talaga ako sobra. Pero change ko yung narrative ko sa utak na instead of being sad about the experience, about what happened, sinabi ko na I changed it with gratitude, na I was thankful for the life na we had growing up and learning the things na natutunan ko dun sa pinsan ko na yun. And instead na mag-mourn ako ng matagal, mas na-appreciate ko yung naging relationship namin habang buhay pa siya. So, I think if hindi ko na-train din yung sarili ko na mag-optimist, baka nag-dwell ako dun sa experience na yon for a very long time, and it could have affected my daily activities. So, I think yun nga, no, parang natutunan ko na lang din na dito sa conversation natin na kung siguro one of the best ways to train your mind na maging optimist is to at least find ways kung paano mo i-restructure yung narratives or yung meaning na binibigay mo dun sa isang negative na experience or negative experience siguro sa ibang tao, pero sa'yo pwedeng maging opportunity siya for growth.
Yes, Jay's really mind over matter at the end of the day. No? It's how you really craft, that the kind of pattern of thinking that you have. Because if you will live in that moment of grief, because there's also a pace, no, bago ka naman pumunta dun sa acceptance na level talagang dadaan ka rin naman dyan sa ganyan na but again, don't live with it, no, just like any other challenges. If you will live with the past and you will not dwell in the current state and in the near future, it may have an effect on the near future. So yeah, I commend you for that attitude. Of course, not all people will have that skill, pero good that you have.
Parang it's a life skill talaga. Daming life skill na kailangan matutunan, kasi nga kung ano yung tumatakbo sa isip natin, it will affect yung outside natin, how we interact with people. And I mean, attitude is contagious. So kung ang pinapasa mo sa mundo is negativity, then yung mga nakapalibot sa'yo will be acting negatively, and of course vice versa if you are such an optimist. So Doc, thank you so much. Dami na share. Babalikan ko to ating conversation dahil may mga bago kong ideas na natutunan from you. So wag ka sana magsasawa pag in-invite uli kita, and saan kanila mahanap pagka gusto kanilang makausap or ma-interview about the subject that you love most?
Well, first and foremost, they can get in touch with me in any social network. Just type in Rommel Sergio in FB, in LinkedIn. I'm not much into Twitter, but if they want to send formal communication, email at rommelsergio.com. So then when they type just Rommel Sergio, they will find my own website anyway, and from there my
Oh, nakita
contact
ko nga
details
siya.
are there. Yeah,
Ayan.
and yeah, there you go. And it's just important to connect. Sometimes it's not just about consulting; it's about just merely an exchange of information. That will create a lot of difference. Yeah. So I just would like to say, lastly, Kuya Jay, again, makikikuya na ako.
Sige lang, Doki.
Understanding healthy optimism is really important because optimism is related to a variety of things, variables like mental health, physical health, financial health towards success. No? And when people like you and me would necessarily be looking at this, and as you know, it's not just about longer life. It's about having a good outlook in life, influencing others to become positive as well, and then that's the rest will follow. You just don't know that you're now part of the circle of positivity and kindness that unending. No, it's being passed on from one person over the other. Therefore, we have a better world to live in. Yeah, thank you very much.
Amen. And like what Doc has said, no, kaka-copy-paste ko na lang. So pakinggan nyo na ulit sinabi nito. So that wraps our episode for today. I hope you gained so much wisdom on how optimism can change your life and also your finances. So if you prefer watching this video episode, just go to my YouTube channel na Hey Kuya Jay. And if you want to schedule a financial coaching session with me, just message me on LinkedIn or on my Facebook page na Purpose Driven Finance.
Yes.
So once again, ito ulit si Kuya Jay together with Doc Rommel telling you to prosper with a purpose. See you sa ating next episode. Thank you once again, Doki. Sa ulitin.
Most welcome. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.